Hello, and welcome back to another YouTube and Facebook Live with me, Prandhara Prem. I got this music going on that my boy Phil made for me.
To be free.
Allow yourself to be free.
Allow your body to move.
Yes. You coming on? I see you coming on. Say hello. Let me know how you feel in this music that my boy Phil in Sao Paulo, Brazil made for me. My little theme song opening. And we're about to talk about dating, polyamorous life, and all that. I'm here with Manny Mac, who goes by he, they, and Manny Mac. I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself because I'm feeling this music. Go ahead, Manny Mac, introduce yourself. Manny was on here like 2 weeks ago, and it was a good conversation. We were starting to get into the polygamy life, the polyamory life. So I was like, you got to come back. Let's talk some more. All right. So as you're coming in, let us know if you're familiar with polyamory, polygamy, ethical non-monogamy. What you know, tell us. Hey, in the comment. All right, Manny, go ahead and introduce yourself this time.
Hello, everyone. I am Manny. My pronouns are he and they. I am your resident trans deity. Yes, I love
Yes.
this so incredibly much. I am a sex coach. I also work in empowerment and intimacy, and I'm on my last week of sabbatical.
Yes. So you are in Costa Rica.
Yes.
All right. That's so exciting because when we met last time you were in Costa Rica, you were sitting on that nice chair. Hey, Andrea. Welcome. Um, I'm gonna say just in the beginning, we're gonna get in and start talking about dating. I want you guys to type what you know, but I want to say real quick because I'm excited about the sacred sexual healing coven that I have, and I want you to join if you're feeling it. It is a free 99, free 99 community where we talk about sexuality and it's creating a community where people can talk and discuss where they're at and what they're feeling, what they need, and learn from each other. Okay, so I'm going to put that right now in the comments because I would love for you to join. Um, and members of this will get a lot of free things like this Sunday, July 31st. I will have a free masterclass at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yoni Love free masterclass. And those who are in the Sacred Sexual Healing Coven will get to receive many different bonuses and discounts on my courses. We'll get lots of free things. And it's already free to join. Most people do these memberships and you have to pay and then you get these discounts, but you get to go in for free and you get to get more discounts on top of that to be in my classes. Okay. So yes. So back to Manny. So yes. So we were talking, and we were having a great conversation 2 weeks ago. And I wanted you to come back and talk some more just about dating, right? And it's so interesting because I posted this live in a group that I'm in Brazil, and it started this whole conversation about dating in Brazil. And one person asked, in Brazil, is it similar or is it different than in the States? And they said in the States, they feel like the States is way more traditional. And so they don't talk about polygamy. They don't talk about polyamory, swinging, and all of that stuff. What is your experience in terms of that dating in the States? How do you see dating and people in the U.S.?
It's
From your
interesting.
point of view, yeah.
Absolutely. And then, so, like, I don't even tell people that I'm a sex coach because that opens up like this other space of like sometimes people are not um like, oh, you're a sex coach. That's cool. The response is more like, oh, you're a sex coach. Like, well, can you like they start to ask inappropriate questions
Mm-hmm.
that just are just very weird and uncomfortable. And I'm just like, I think, you know, when there's like a intention mix up of in that space.
Really? Because it's interesting, right? I don't get that. Like, it's so interesting. I feel like, so I get just the opposite. So I don't know what it is. Because even in this group, I was like, yeah, everyone that I know, they're so open. But when I meet people and I say, when I'm with my family, like my sister will be like, oh, she's a sex coach. I usually say I'm a Tantra coach, right? I'm a Tantric therapist. That's what I tend to say. My
Mhm.
sister will be like, she's a sex coach. My nieces and nephews will be like, oh, my auntie's a sex coach. They love using that word. And whenever they say that or I say that, people just open up. They're like, "Oh my God, really?" And they get so excited and they want to ask questions and they want to learn. And it never feels like they're judgmental or they're asking weird questions or anything like that.
Mhm.
So it's so interesting. It's
Yeah.
so interesting because I don't know if the people I'm around happen to be different because just like in the group, they were saying how people get uncomfortable and they don't talk about these things. Hey, baby, Phil, did you hear my music I put on? Oh, wait, I'm gonna have to put this on for you, Phil. Phil, that just came on. He's the one that made this music. Phil, I will play this for you for a little bit. Check that out. My boy Phil is on here. Who made this for me? I opened up with this, Phil. We got sexy and we moved because of you, Phil, in Brazil. All right, hey, baby. So, Phil also has a YouTube channel, Phil in Brazil. You guys have to check him out. Go to his channel. He talks about a lot of things
Allow
Brazil related,
yourself
dating related,
to be free.
movies, scary movies, all of that. Okay, so pardon my interruption. I got excited
Allow
seeing Phil
your
come
body
on.
to
So you do that to me. You get me
move.
excited, baby. So, okay. Um, hello, Alexis. Yes, Andreas is so nice. So Phil is talented. He is a musician. He has a band. So I've been contracting him out to make my music. So if you guys need somebody to make some music, he's your man. You just tell him what you want, and he's gonna play around. And he gets your music going. And he said, I love Manny moving to it. Yes, me too. Manny was doing the thing. So Phil was part of that conversation. And Phil was talking about how the dating in Brazil sucks too, right? No conversation, lame. Um, but going back into the dating in the US and just all over, right? Because we're not limited to the US because we have people from all over watching this. Hey, Vladimir, yo, what up? He was also in that group talking about dating. So yeah, so I want to hear from you guys too. Type in a chat. Let's have this flow. Whatever you want to share on the dating. So before you guys, I don't know if you guys heard, Manny was saying when he's in the States and says to people that he's a sex therapist, starts getting these strange questions and people acting weird. Whereas, like I was saying in the group, I get a whole different experience. People are so open. People talk about sexuality. When I say I'm a sex coach or I'm a tantric therapist, people are excited and and ask me questions, but it's always appropriate. They're respectful, and a lot of times they're like, "Oh, I need your help." So it's so interesting. And guys, that's on this. I want type out what your experience is um, with polyamory, polygamy, monogamy, ethical non-monogamy. What is your experience? Type it in, or if you're familiar with it, or if you feel like sharing, if you're open enough to be like, I've been in that, and this was my experience. I want to know because I want to hear like this is so fascinating. This is so interesting. And I think this will help to heal. And if you don't know my mission is to release the shame and guilt around sexuality so we can talk about sexuality just as if we were talking about the weather or food or, clothes. Okay. And if you're new to my channel, like Vladimir, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and follow me. Okay, so Andreas is pretty positive. One of my greatest love was a poly love. I'm thankful for it. Yes, yes, yes. Me too. Like one of my poly relationships really helped me to get over my jealousy issues. Yeah, I used to, get jealous easily. And then being in that relationship, I've realized that, my partner could date other people and it didn't make him love me any less. I could date other people and it didn't make me love him any less. So it really helped me to work through my jealousies and insecurities. And I think one of the big things that helped was because we had an open and honest conversation. You need to have open and honest conversation to have an open relationship or a poly relationship. Andrea says, same. I'm still jealous though. I manage it better now though. Yeah, well, good. You manage it better. So, Manny, go ahead. I kind of cut you off a little bit. You started saying your experience when you're telling people what you do as a sex coach. So continue, because I was asking you, what is your experience with people? Are they open to talk about sexuality? What you're finding in the U.S. particularly?
Yeah.
And you're in Costa Rica now, so I don't know if you brought that up and what you've come across with that there.
Yeah, in Costa Rica, it's been surprising. I've been helping facilitate a retreat. It's been around 100 people each week, and this is the fourth week. Um, and so I kind of just bring it up as a conversation, like starter of like, hey, who's poly? Who's a kinkster? So like, and this is a group of, these are all sex coaches. And I
Mm,
was deeply surprised to hear that so many folks were like, I'm monogamous. Like I can't handle the level of communication, and like I'm not ready to deal with my jealousy, and like all of those things were coming up. And I was just like, what? It was so shocking to me. Um, I do see more dating apps that are more specific to folks who are not
mhm,
monogamous, which I'm like, oh, that's really beautiful. That's such an awesome thing to come across.
mhm,
Um, and then also there's another layer that just that I just recognized about myself around like me being trans and also being assigned female at birth. There's or AFAB as for short. There are some people who like to take advantage of that, and they'll like I saw this meme the other day and it said it was this couple and they were seeking um, a unicorn and
mhm.
they said so like the wife was like, oh, my husband really loves that you're AFAB, and I was just like,
Wow.
whoa, there's so much erasure in that and complete denial of the fact that this person doesn't identify in that way anymore. And so it's such an interesting and painful layer to consider that um, that people will just continue to see you as like who you are not. It's like
Mhm.
looking at a butterfly and saying, "Oh no, it's a caterpillar. It's a caterpillar." Like, so happy that it's a cat. Like it's not a caterpillar anymore. What do you mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so interesting that you said that you were in a retreat with a bunch of different like tantric therapists, sex therapists, or coach. And a lot of them are like they're not open to deal with those emotions. And and that's the thing, I'm a tantric therapist. And I think because I've started working with Tantra, that was one of the things that helped me to be more open to being in a different type of relationship, a non-traditional. And it was really to understand more of, different types of relationships and how different things are, and to go deeper into what I'm experiencing, right? And or what was some of the things that or blockages for me in my life. And so even because of this, like this was just another step on my growth and my healing. And now I'm open, I'm open to different types of relationships, and I think this journey has also taken me into learning more about BDSM and kink, which before I probably would have never been open to. But it's just been like Tantra really helped me to open up and not be like scared of different things or judgmental. Um, and so Tantra was very instrumental in me opening up and learning different things and trying different things. So I think that, we can't limit ourselves whether we're a sex coach or tantric therapist, because you can only take your clients as far as you have gone. And so if I haven't done this specific work on myself, if I haven't done the work surrounding my jealousy, how can I help a client deal with jealousy? Right. And so that's how I see it. And that's how I've been trained. My tantric guru, the person that I follow behind here in Brazil, that's one of the things he would say. You can only take your clients as far as you have gone. And it's true. And so, I lived 2 years in a Tantra commune and like living, breathing Tantra, like doing meditation 2 times a day, doing yoga 2 times a day, tantric massage 2 times a week. Like I was going through some stuff, doing rebirthing, doing it was work day in and day out every day. I didn't get a break. There was no day off, right? Like I had to leave the commune to get a day off, right? And so it was intense and I would do it all over again. I'm not gonna lie, there were moments that I was there that I was like, this is so fucking hard. I want to leave. There were times that I was there that I cried and I cried and I cried. And the beautiful thing is, the most beautiful thing about that was there wasn't that one person that I was like, that's okay, you don't have to cry. People just allowed me to cry. People would hold space and they would be like, cry some more, let it out. And it was so healing because because we're uncomfortable with someone crying, we want them to stop. So when somebody's crying, we're like, it's okay, it's going to be okay. You don't have to cry, stop. No, that doesn't help anyone. We have to release, right? So in that same way with dating and sexuality, just putting it under the rug and not talking about it doesn't help anything. That makes room for people to get hurt, for people to be prejudiced, for people to treat you wrong. And so it can't be that elephant in the room, that pink elephant in the room. We have to talk about this. We have to learn about this. We have to learn about these different things that might make us uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Yeah. One of my favorite coaches is always talking about growth edges and where are those spaces where we can start to lean in and have tougher conversations and move some like tougher energy and like transmuting things and really learning how to take what our experiences are and like put them in our craft and like
Yes.
absolutely.
Yes. Yes.
Hmm.
Okay. And so what are some of the things that you've learned you know um in this dating process, going through this change, um now identifying as a he or they, and now being out in the dating world. um okay, so let's talk about to you. Tell me the difference. No, I'm not gonna ask that question. um do you so are you ever in monogamous relationships, or what, or are you open? How's your dating structure? And then tell me, what are some of the things that you've learned?
Yeah. So I started off monogamous when I first started dating. So I've had two monogamous relationships. Um, and ever since then, I've been completely polyamorous. Um, and I do not have the space, the energy, the capacity to ever do monogamy again.
Hmm.
So full on polyamorous now. So I've had very interesting experiences. I've dated a couple before. Um, and yeah, like before I knew my nervous system fully.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was a tough experience for sure. To just We spent 2 weeks together in person, and that time we really got to know each other on a much deeper level, and recognize just like, wow, we're all very different.
Hmm.
um, so many things came up that we just didn't know how to deal with, and so we just didn't deal with those things.
Right.
And meanwhile, they're just like piling up in our nervous systems, and now we don't feel safe around each other. Like there's just so many dynamics at play, um, and while at the same time, like we also had really great sex, and at the same time, like
That's good.
really cool BDSM experiences um, that I like now, like in reflection of them. I'm like, oh, these were really cool experiences. But while I was in the experiences, because I had no idea what was going on, and that was my introduction into the kink world, I was just like incredibly lost. And I was like, what's happening right now? What are we doing? Like,
Mhm.
and oh my gosh, like I remember this one scene, there was like rope play, um, there was uh, the person was blindfolded as well as gagged. And then I was basically given a lot of instructions. And so it was just like, do this thing, put this toy here, put that toy there. And I was like, okay. And like the girl in the experience, she's like screaming and like in my mind, I'm like, is she okay? How do I know if these are good screams or danger screams? Like there was no conversation beforehand. We just kind of went into it. And so the whole time I was just like incredibly nervous and I was like, I hope she's okay. I hope that she actually likes what's going on. Like, I don't know. And then so after I saw this like huge glow on her face, and I was like, oh, okay, this is a good experience. But yeah, I had to do so much research after we did that because I was like, what did we just experience just now?
Right.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it when you experience something first and then you research, right? Because Tantra is all about experience as well. It's like
Mhm.
experiencing. You have to experience Tantra to know what it is. So, as much as I could talk about what Tantra is, like you have to experience it,
Mhm.
to for it to like for you to feel it in your body and understand, you know. So it's interesting because so you said you don't have any space for monogamous relationship. Why do you think that is? Because like for me, I'm open either way. Like it depends on the person, on my partner, where we're both at, what we want. And I also feel like I might even change. Like I might, enter into a relationship with someone and be monogamous, and then later, we might want to change into an open relationship or whatever, some type of poly relationship, or vice versa, and I've seen that there's a lot of different couples. So, and I want to put that out there. Just because you enter into a relationship one way doesn't mean it has to stay that way, right? I had a good friend of mine who, when she was getting divorced because her husband was like, "Hey, I can't be with one woman," and he would cheat. I was like, "Well, why don't you just enter into a polyamorous relationship?" Right? Like you can date other men and he date other women. Like, I mean, I mean, you love him. Like, why can't you do that? And she was like, you're the first person that said that to me. Everybody else was like, just leave, and I'm like, there's other options. There's other options. I mean, if you both love each other and things are, are going well in other areas, but he's being honest and saying he can't just be with one person. He's, talk to if he's okay with you being with other men, or vice versa. If you both are the same sex and you both, if both of you agree to be with other people, then that's great. And in this particular case, he was okay with her being with other men. So it's like turn it into an open relationship, turn it into a polyamory type relationship. So, there's so many different things. And there's a couple that I follow. Stevens, what's her name? Something Stevenson. And I follow them on Facebook, on Instagram. If anybody knows her name, um, their name might have been. I think her name was Juju Mama, but she has another name, something Kenya Stevenson's or something like that. Anyway, Kenya, yeah. What is it? Kenya K, and then her husband. So she talked a lot about their marriage. They were almost ready to get a divorce. Like their marriage was getting to be really bad. And Rakim Sekou, yes. Yeah, follow them on Instagram. Really good couple. Progressive Love Academy they have. Um, and so, they've talked about that. And then they decided to open up that to change the relationship dynamics, and it saved their marriage. And she got two husbands now. I'm like, yes, I would love to have two husbands. I didn't follow her more, so he might have like two wives. I don't know. But whatever, but it's good. Like, you don't have to. I think the important thing is being able to have the communication, having that communication open and honest. And just like even in the experience that you were talking about, you were like, you didn't know whether she was enjoying it or not. Like, communication, that's important, because we can't necessarily be in a situation, especially if it's like BDSM or kink, and not know, because then that can become a dangerous issue, right? Yeah, I do got one husband. Yes, I got a husband, and I got. You know what? I am lucky. Thank you, Phil. I got a husband and two wifeys. I got one wifey in Diane, who is in where is she? She's in Kenya. And then I have Phil in Sao Paulo, and I have Maria here in Rio. So yes, I got three. I'm a lucky woman. I'm getting taken care of. And my wifey Diane is who I'm doing the Yoni Love masterclass with on Saturday, the free masterclass on Saturday, the July 31st. This Sunday, July 31st. So you can meet my wifey if you join us in Yoni Love. So yes, thank you, Phil, for letting me know that. And if you guys are coming on here, if you have any questions, ask if there's any questions that you might want to know, anything that sparks a curiosity that either one of us is saying. So going back into the BDSM and kink, because it's really important to be aware of what the other person is feeling, because of a safety issue, right? We don't want anyone to get hurt, depending on what you're doing, what kind of play you're doing, right? Now there's something there's some that might be light, that it's okay. But generally speaking, you have to have a safe word. And you might have had that. I don't know. I'm just talking right now. So you got to have the safe word. You got to have safe movement. So the person, because sometimes maybe the person can't talk. So you have to have all of these things in place so that you know that the person is enjoying themselves and they're not in pain or not uncomfortable. And so that's some of the things that I love about these non-traditional relationships. I feel like, and anybody who's here is watching, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like in these non-traditional relationships, because they're non-traditional, you have to have even more conversation. So you have to build even more trust, more communication, consent. And in traditional relationships, we don't have, a lot of times, not all, obviously, in some relationships, you don't have the consent, you don't have the honesty. You got a lot of men taking off the condom without the other person knowing mid-act. You have a lot of them cheating on their partner, not saying anything. So sometimes it's like, why are we saying that we're in a traditional relationship, but we're having an affair? So Andrea says, it's incredibly important to vet your play partners and negotiate things, and then talk about soft and hard limits. Exactly. So much communication. So guys, if you don't know Andrea Richardson, she's also a pleasure doula, sex coach. She's on Instagram too. Follow her. She's great. I did I had her on a live and she was good too. Awesome. But yes, it is so important to vet your play partners. Like, I'm on FetLife, and I don't just meet up with anybody. FetLife is it's one of those apps. Pleasure Sex Doula, yes, there's one of those apps that you can meet other people who's into BDSM, kink. The first time I meet them, after vetting them, I'll go into a public place. I let somebody know. There's all these different things, precautions set up so nothing happens. Yes. So back to you, Manny. It was a lot. Okay. So you're into BDSM and kink. Like, Are you very much into it, or are you still kind of new into it? What would
Still
you say?
very new, researching, learning, and uh, trying some things, but primarily this year has been like a really internal asexual space of just like not being interested in, which is so funny because I was just like, huh, like I'm an asexual sex coach. Like, I'm like, part of me is like, oh, it feels like such a contradiction, and another part of me is like, no, like I could just be like, I could be in it and just be like, hey, I'm an asexual sex coach. But yeah, I pendulate between asexual and pansexual, though it's interesting. Like in theory, I'm pansexual, but in practice, I've been pretty lesbian.
Mhm.
So, like, I don't know.
so, so that's so interesting, and I'm glad you brought that up. Right, the that you're like, I'm an asexual sex coach. So sexuality is fluid, right? Sexuality is very fluid. And so there are times people in traditional relationships or non-traditional relationships, there's going to be periods where you don't have any sexual interest at all. I go through my periods and I'm a sexual being. Those who know me know I'm very sexual. I am very sexual, but I go through my periods where I'm asexual. I go through periods where I don't get horny. I don't want to have sex. Like, I'll see a fine ass man walk past me, and I'm not like, you know, I'm not drooling, nothing. And so what happens, and I want people to know that that is normal. Okay, that is normal. It is not that you have to be having sexual interest all the time. Okay, now even if you're completely asexual all the time, that is also normal. It is okay. Everybody is different. Every single person is different. Okay. There are some people that get turned on not from sex, but there's some people that get turned on just from cuddling, or some people just from a stimulating conversation. A stimulating conversation might be all that you need or want, and that's okay. You know, because we live in this patriarchal society that says sex is this way. Sex is a penis going inside a vagina. But
Mm,
sex is way more than that, right? Intimacy is way more than that. And so just because you might want intimacy and not sex doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Just because you're not getting horny or turned on doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. Okay? So everything you have to look at. You have to when it gets to the point to be like, okay, this is a problem and I need to work on this, is okay, I used to have a lot of sexual energy, but I haven't in some for so long, but I want like, and if you feel like it's causing a problem for you, then you could come see me or Manny or Andrea or any sex coach. But it has to be a problem for you. If it's okay for you and your relationships, it's okay. There's uh, there's a couple. I actually have a friend who's asexual, and he enters into relationships. He doesn't have any issues with that. Like, talks to his partners. His partner's aware of that. I know another person who's married, who's asexual, and lived with her husband for like over 20 years, and they've never had sex, not once in over 20 years that they've been married. And they have a wonderful marriage, a happy marriage. Um, to her knowledge, from what they've said, he's never been with anyone else. Because my initial thought was, okay, if you don't want to have sex, you can open it up for your husband, for him to go out and do whatever. But he's perfectly fine. Like he loves her so much, and he masturbates, right? So, you know, they've been okay. They're happily married. Obviously, they don't have kids because they've never had sex, but she didn't want to try, you know, another way. Um, and he was fine with that. So there's always someone out there who could be in the relationship for you, right? There's people who match sexual levels. There's some people who have very high sex drives and they get in a relationship and it's all gravy. You have others who have very low sex drive. They get into relationships together, all gravy. Sometimes you get in people to relationships with people who have two different types of sex drive, and you got to compromise. You got to make it work, figure things out, right? but everything there's someone out there, for you. And sometimes you don't even want somebody else. There's some people who just want to be alone. And there's some people who get stimulated from books and different things. So Andrea says, I have a few close friends who are demisexual. I think the conversations are more about sensual pleasure rather than sexual pleasure. Yes. And there's so many different types of pleasure, not just sexual pleasure.
Mhm.
I can have orgasms from eating.
Mm.
Okay, I haven't had one yet, but I'm calling that. I'm manifesting that. So that's why I said that. Let me let you know I haven't had an orgasm from eating, but it is possible. I know people, but I'm manifesting that. That's why I said that. And I looked at this pear because this pear was so damn good. But I'm a foodie and I can eat, and it's like, so
Yeah.
good. But I'm manifesting to have orgasms from eating.
Mm.
Yes,
Yeah, energetic orgasms are the best. Yeah, I totally feel you.
yes, they are. They are. So, I don't know. I've been talking a lot. Anything that you want to share, Manny? Because I know I've been talking a lot. So, and I could do that. Um, I have orgasms from food. I'm a foodie too. Yes.
Mm.
Yeah. You know, go ahead. I was about to say something. Go ahead. You might want to even talk on that. Go ahead. I will shut up a little bit.
Was the term heartgasms? Oh yes, I love heartgasms. They're so beautiful. Um, yeah, I definitely experience different things. Like, I'm sapiosexual, so good conversation can definitely do it for me. Also demisexual, so sometimes like an emotional experience can do it for me as well. Like I had this very, very beautiful experience actually while I've been here with this person. We had really good emotional intimacy. And like there was this one practice here, I think it was like inner child healing or something. And they were just like in their sexual energy. It was so beautiful. And I was just kind of standing there, like very grounded in front of them. And they said to me, I will never shame myself again. Whoa! Like she had this beautiful, miraculous, like experience as I was just like, it was so beautiful because like she's like in her sexual energy and she's like got her tongue out. So it's like so much. And I think just the acceptance, the level of just like, yeah, this is safe, this is beautiful, like express yourself was just
Hmm.
like enough to get to this space of really profound beauty. Um, and I've seen so much here at this retreat where folks are definitely orgasming in so many different types of ways from so many different things. And it was beautiful too in this experience, like right as she said, I will never shame myself again, and she's like crying. There's so many people orgasming in the background at the same time, and I was like, they sound like a choir of angels. Like it was so beautiful. Like,
Oh my
yeah.
God, I wish I was there. So what are some tips that you can give folks? What are some tips that you can give folks who are maybe wanting to explore like a polyamorous relationship? Maybe they're scared to, or they haven't. Like, what would you say?
Hmm. So like my first response, the first thing was like research, but then also like soul search for sure, like because it's not an easy journey all the time. Sometimes it is very easy, but um, yeah, process if you have some like I know I had a lot of societal stigma that I was carrying, and just like a lot of pain and judgment, self judgment around like, oh, I notice that when I'm in a relationship, like sometimes I feel emotionally interested in someone else, or I might feel attracted to other people. And in certain cultures, like those are like big no nos, red flags, and so like unlearning that shame and the pain surrounding it, that's part of your journey. I would definitely say start there. and learning about like what type of dynamic you might be interested in. That was one of your questions earlier. I forgot to answer it. But like learning about what type of dynamics you might be interested in. Um, and yeah, I think it's definitely about intentions and having an open heart because this is such a big heart exploration around like how many hearts can I interact with one, and then also like keeping my nervous system regulated, having hard conversations, and like staying in it if that's something that you're interested in. Um, yeah, yeah, I think that's where I would say first. Like, and definitely finding out what are your priorities, what are you interested in, what are you looking for, um, and then going from there.
Hmm. Now, how do you think they could do that? Like find out what they're interested in?
Yeah. So lots of books, lots of articles. My favorite one is More Than Two.
Hmm.
Really awesome articles come out of that space. YouTube videos, there's so many. Um, where they just like talk, they like give definitions and like explain like um, what are the different types of polyamorous um, shapes and different things. Like you might hear like we're in a V relationship or we're in an N relationship. Like so, you might want to know what those things mean. Um, yeah, so YouTube is a really really good place to start.
Hmm.
Or even TikTok. TikTok is like even shorter.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, yeah. TikTok. I mean, yeah, you get so much from TikTok now.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, and YouTube and reading and self exploration as well. I think before going out, like trying different things with yourself, right? Like playing around with candle wax or different
Mhm.
levels of pain to see what your threshold level is, especially if you're interested in, in the BDSM and kink and different self-touch, self-explorations to make sure that you know yourself and know what you like so that you can tell your partners or partner all about that, right?
Yep.
um
And tools, you can go to a sex shop. Like that can feel really kinky for some folks.
mhm,
And just like trying out a feather, trying out like different yeah, it's all kind of stuff at sex stores and like even like costumes and just like doing it for yourself and really releasing the performance that can happen in sex and just like coming into a really natural, comfortable place for yourself. Um, yeah.
mhm, mhm. Yeah, yeah. Awesome. Let's see. I know last time I had so many questions for you. Do you have any questions for me? I'm asking all these questions to you.
Oh, I have a million questions. Oh my God. It would become like a reverse interview really quick. Oh, but yeah, I'm so interested in your work, how you like came to this space. How did you know that like you wanted to do Tantra? Like that was the thing. I have so many questions. But we can start there. Like how did you know it was
Wait,
Tantra?
questions regarding dating,
Ah,
polyamory. Yeah.
okay.
We can
Thank
stay
you.
on subject.
Thank you. Thank you. My ADHD brain got really happy. I was like, oh. Mm, okay. So I'm curious about, um, yeah, like when it comes to polyamory and dating, like, has the kink always been like together for you, or have there been different experiences where there was no kink involved?
Oh, so interesting. I've only been in two polyamory relationships, and with neither one of them were in BDSM or kink. So one of them was also a tantric therapist. Um,
Mm,
so I'll tell you how I actually got in. Um, Actually, I just realized I lied earlier because I got into polyamory before Tantra. Earlier, I said Tantra helped open the doors, but I just remembered my first poly relationship was before Tantra. Well, no, it was after Tantra. No, never mind. So that's true. Tantra did open me up. Okay, I didn't lie. Yay. Okay, so, but what actually got me into that was because I was in a relationship here with this guy in Brazil. And at that time, I was closed off because I've only been in monogamous relationships. Now, this guy, he actually wanted to enter into an open relationship with me and someone else and another woman. And I was like, no. And he was like, oh, but I love you both. And he had never been sexually intimate with her. He came up to me and he was very upfront. He was very honest. And I was like, yeah, no, that's not going to work for me. So I ended up saying, listen, I'm going to remove myself from this situation and you could just be with her. And if you want to be with other people, you can too. Turns out she didn't even want to be with him. So then I ended the relationship and then he ended up being single. So I was like, you should have at least made sure that she wanted to be with you first. But, so anyway, but again, at that time, I was still kind of like, I hadn't lived in the Tantra commune. I had only did like a 1 6-week Tantra course. No, I hadn't even done that yet. I had like 1 or 2 like Tantric experiences. But I hadn't gotten into it. And then when he ended with me, or I ended with him, because he wanted to be in that. And I was just like, no, I'm not. And then I was mad because he even brought that up to me. Like, how could you bring that up? But, now me being more mature than I was at that time, I would have done things differently. I would have been like, yeah, I'm down. Let's try it. And then I could be with somebody else too. Like, yeah, cool. Let's do it. I wasn't interested in being with her. So it would have been the 3 of us in a relationship. And so when I left him, which was crazy, but when I left him, I was like, you know what? The next guy, it wasn't soon after, but I was like, okay, the next guy I date, I wanted to be an open polyamorous situation because so I could see what that would be like. But I should have done it in there since I was already in that relationship, right? But I didn't. And so then I was actually living with him. And then I moved out. And my neighbor where I lived was fine as hell. And this is how we manifest things, right? So, I was interested in a neighbor, like, because I happened to go next door because I needed to borrow his refrigerator because I didn't have a refrigerator yet. So I was like, can I put this in your refrigerator? When he opened the door, I was like, oh. And he was like, and so he was like, yes. And then it was on. And he actually gave me the key to his apartment. He was like, yes, you could come over whenever you want, use the refrigerator. You could cook over here too if you want. I had a stove. But he was like, leave your stuff over in the refrigerator. If you want to cook, you can cook. And then he said, he was like, listen, I'm interested in you, but I don't do traditional relationships. And I was like, you know what? That's cool because I want to try something different. And so that was my first. And I manifested that because I was like, the next time I enter into something, this is what I want to experience it. And so he was literally my next door neighbor. Like literally my apartment was right here and his was right here. I would just go right through the door. And I had his key. But I would always, knock on the door. Even though I had a key, I would knock on his door first and everything. And so it was kind of cool. Now there were some times, he had another girl that he was with. And there was one occasion that I went over there to get stuff out the refrigerator and she was there. And he was like, hey, come on in. It's okay. Because, I knocked on the door first, even though I had a key. And I went over and she was there and she was really cool. And then the 3 of us was there together. And I was like, oh, I like her. And it was clear that, she was going to be there that night. So I was like, okay. And I had a good time. And he was like, if you want to stay, you can stay. And I'm like, no, that's okay. Because I wasn't interested in her like that, It was just like, so I was like, okay, cool. And then I left and I went home and I was like, oh my God, I was so excited. I was like, yes. he's there with a woman and I'm not jealous and I'm not mad and I'm not angry. I'm like, okay. And I got to meet her and I was like, she's funny. She's nice. Greetings. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce your name correctly. Miisher? Miisher? I don't want to be rude and watch from the background and say nothing. Oh, we appreciate it. Thank you for coming in and saying hi, saying something. I love that. You're the first person from Facebook to write in. Everybody else is on YouTube writing. So I appreciate you. Thank you. Our first Facebook person to comment. It's just been like YouTube comments all day. And I see your 3 diamonds, Andrea. Thank you. Yes. So and Miss White, I'll call you Miss White because I don't want to mess up your first name. So sorry. People mess up my Prandhara all the time. If you have any questions as well, let us know. And so that was like big for me. I was like, okay. I was like, nice. Like, I went over, I didn't get upset, I didn't get jealous, nothing, and it was really cool. And then he and I, we continued. And even when I got my refrigerator, he let me still keep the keys to his place. I never gave him a key to my place. Because I don't like it, there was no need. And, but he would always come over. He would always come over to my place as well. It was just weird because we're literally next door neighbors. So it's like we're both going to each other's place, but his place was way nicer. So I always liked going to his place. Mine was nice too, but he would come over and he played the guitar. And sometimes he would be at my place and he would play the guitar. And it was just nice. And so I learned from him, and we had a conversation. He was open and honest. And I said, you know what? I respect the fact that you're telling me this from the beginning. Now also, because I know relationships can change, wants can change, I'm also okay for the relationship to change midway. Now, the second relationship that I had like this, he also told me midway. Now, he said, I don't do traditional relationships and I'm bisexual. Now, that was a first for me as well. So for me, I had never been with a bisexual man knowingly, right? Because there's tons of people who want to DL and I could have been with, and I just don't know. I tend to date more effeminate men because I've always had a lot of masculine energy. So most of my men that I've dated have a lot of feminine energy. They've all been straight to my knowledge, but they've all had a lot of feminine energy, right? Now, he was the first to tell me there's times that he wants to be with a woman. There's other times that he wants to be with a man. And so he cannot be in a traditional relationship, monogamous relationship with one person. But we had been friends prior to that, and I was already starting to like him. Like, I really like him. So I was like, you know what? Cool. I'm okay with this. And so I allowed myself to go in. And that's the relationship that I really, really had to work on my jealousy. Because it was interesting. The first one, I don't think I loved him like I love this guy. I really liked the first guy and it was good. I was getting to know and I was exciting. I was like, I can do this. And then with this guy, it would be like, well, I don't know. Is he going to be with a man, with a woman? Like, I don't know. Like, and there were just so many. I think it was just on top because I had both of those situations. And so, and then I was like, oh my God, this is fine. And it worked and it was okay. Like, I worked through my jealousy. I worked through my insecurities. And that really helped me to grow, So let's see. She said, were the connections between you and him kept separate, or did everyone know of the other partners? Okay, so let's see. And then so you found yourself being more monogamous, even though you wanted to be open. No. Okay. So in the first one, so in both of the relationships, I didn't necessarily want to know or meet the people. Well, I didn't care to meet the people. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I have to. Some people want to meet the person. For me, it was either way. In the first one, because we were neighbors, I happened to meet the other women, right? Because they would come to his house eventually, right? And that was fine. Like, I realized that was okay. It was actually nice to get a sense of who this person was with. Now, the second one, I didn't meet any of them. I did know of one. I did see him on the phone, hear them talk on the phone, but I didn't meet the guy personally. It was a guy, one of the guys that he was also with. I never met him personally. And I was supposed to meet him because he was actually going to come to our house one day. And that it didn't happen for different reasons, for whatever reason. And so I just never met him. Let me read the question, make sure I'm answering this question. Were the connections between you and him kept separate? Or did you, okay, so that was answered, right? I didn't know of the other partners. Yeah, so it wasn't separate. I did know. But the first one, again, I met. The second one, I didn't meet the other people. But we all knew, I mean, the key to being in this type of relationship is honesty with everyone. So even the other women or men knew about me. I knew about them. Some I met, some I didn't. So you found yourself being more monogamous, even though you wanted to be open. No, I wasn't. In both of these, I was with other men. So in the open relationships, I was also open, and that actually was actually kind of good because I remember one time with one of the guys, like I had went out and I met this guy, and I was like, oh my God, thank God I could be with someone else and not just be stuck to this one guy. And and I was with him. And now with in the second relationship, he didn't necessarily like he wasn't like I had to tell him every time I was with somebody else. And I was the same way. I didn't ask him every time he was with someone else. Now I would know because we lived together. So I would know, and it was never a time that he didn't ever come home or I didn't ever come home. We both came home to each other. But because one, we lived together, two, we worked together. So we pretty much knew each other's work schedule. And we had all the same friends from work. So if he wasn't at work and he wasn't with one of the friends that I knew, then I knew he was out there doing whatever, right? And same for me, because again, because of how that circle ran. Same thing with my neighbor, because he was literally my neighbor. I kind of knew his work schedule, when he was home, when he wasn't, and when he wasn't. So so you gotta just know these things. So when I was with other people, I didn't necessarily go back and tell him. When he was with other people, I didn't necessarily go back and tell. He didn't come back and tell me. Now each relationship is different, and each couple is going to have to decide how they want that relationship, what they want it to look like, right? Whether they want to know all the details or the um, you know all of the stuff or not. So that really is up to each couple. So I don't know what yours have been like. Manny, could you share a little bit? And then we're going to start to wind down because I do have to end um, for this course that and so just let me know what yours have been like.
Yeah. So in my poly experiences, there was only one that was kink, the with the couple. I still had a 2-year relationship with my ex-girlfriend, and it was interesting to learn that I think it was like a year into the relationship is when she told me, she's like, "Oh, I'm actually monogamous." And I was like, "What?" It's like, yeah. And she's like, "Oh, did I not tell you that?" And I was like, "No, you definitely didn't. You definitely didn't tell me that." Like, and like for me, it was so hard, and I was just like, "Okay, we need to go to workshops. We may need to do therapy, like something. Maybe there are books on this. Like we have to figure out how to date as folks who just don't have the same relationship dynamic." And
Hmm.
she's like, "No, like I think we're good. Like I think everything's fine. Everything's been going great. Like I haven't been jealous of your other partners. I've been fine." And I was just like, "Okay, but what happens when you get jealous?"
Hmm.
And she was just like, "Yeah, I just don't think I'm gonna get jealous." The next week she got jealous. And I was like, "What the fuck?" Like, see this? Oh, can I curse? Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, okay, okay. um, yeah, and I was just like, "What?" And so, that was like such an interesting space to navigate, and a hard space because I've never, in all of my relationships, had a jealous partner. So that threw me for a big loop as far as like, I knew I didn't know how to handle it either. So that's why I was also like, we need to figure something out. And so we tried to like have a conversation, and there was like triggers came up. So I knew how to like stay with her in the trigger and like navigate out of it together and all of those things. But beyond that, I was like, I can't date someone who's jealous. Like
Mm-hmm.
I I I can't. So we did end up ending the relationship pretty soon after that.
Mm.
Um, And so that's what I've learned is an edge for me of like, I don't know what to do with a partner's jealousy, like at all, just because like
And
when we
maybe
talked
there's an
about.
opportunity to help each other work through that, because jealousy can be worked through. Like, I mean, and I say that because I know, like, I was with my partner, and yes, I was jealous, but what helped me was being open and honest, and
Mm,
us being able to work through that.
absolutely. And
You
I
know?
completely hear that, like from tons of people that you can totally work through it. I think for me, like it was like hitting up against a wall. You know how
Mhm.
for a lot
Yeah.
of people, like cheating is the ultimate betrayal.
Hmm.
For me, jealousy feels like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So,
makes sense. Yeah.
like the division and the like, I suddenly feel like we're not on the same team. I feel like,
Yeah. So
can
you
I
need
trust
someone confident
you?
and secure.
Yeah, yeah. Because my nervous system gets like very like, like what the
Yeah.
you know? But I completely respect and understand and love the um the space that can be created, and the people that have the amazing hearts to do that. It's just so incredibly powerful and beautiful, and I recognize that that is not a gift that I received from the goddess. So
All right. Thank you so much. Yes. So I want to say a quick thank you to everyone who's come on, who's wrote in their questions or commented. This was great. Thank you so much. Next week, I'm going to have who was here last week. So I got two people back to back doing, coming on for a second time. Next week, I'm going to have the erogenous coach on. No. I'm going to have her on in 2 weeks. Next week I have um Ocean Wellness, Womb Wellness coming on with me. Um so I got two more back to back line up that's going to be really good. Listen, if you're not following me, go ahead and follow me. Hit the subscribe button. If you are wanting to join, I have this Sacred Sexual Healing Coven. Click the link, join. It's a great space with like-minded people. I'm creating community so we can have these conversations, so that we can heal, that we could grow, and we can learn from each other. So join me there at the Sacred Sexual Healing Coven. Also on Sunday, July 31st at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have Yoni Love free master course. Yes, it is a free master course. You can sign up for that free master course through the Sacred Sexual Healing Coven. You can go to my site to find out more information about that. It really is helping to empower women to become pussy powered and to live out your pussy powered purpose. Okay. Our sexual energy is our life force energy. And that's the energy that helps us to manifest, to get things done. And so this is going to be a great masterclass to help you to connect to your body, understand your body, understand how it works. And we're going to do some dancing. We're going to do some exercises to release some of these blockages in your body so that you can open up and receive more. So join us there on that. Anything you want to share,
oh,
Manny, as we're closing out?
um, I I can be found on Instagram at Black and Queer Divinity. Everything else I'm kind of blanking on, but yes, I invite you to my Instagram.
Okay. Okay. So a partner's jealousy could be worked through if they are able to be open and honest and communicate what he are feeling rather than react irrational, if that's the correct word. Exactly. So everything is about every reaction there's a consequence, right? So if you're jealous and you're like, I can't believe, who are you with and what are you doing, and you're reacting a certain way, then it's like, ugh, you know. But I think the way that I did it was because I was in and open, and he was very open and honest from the beginning, and I respected that. I was like, okay, I wanted to work through this, and I knew that these were my stuff that I needed to deal with. I wasn't like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Who are you with? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know what? During this period, this is what I was feeling. And I was like, and I know that this is my stuff and I got to work through it. But I wanted to be open and honest with you. This is what I'm feeling, you know? And he was very there. He was loving. He was kind, and he supported me through it. He was like, well, where does that come from? Because he's also a tantric therapist, right? He was like, well, where is this coming from? Where was this familiar to you? So we did that work, and he held that space, right? We were both in a place, like I was in a place where I was also wanting that. And he was like, you know, he was just in a space where I think he's already used to kind of dealing with this stuff, right? And so we just both came together because that's what it was supposed to be, for me to help work through that. And then even in that relationship, at some point, I honestly, because I started going through some healing stuff, and I was like, wait a minute, I no longer want to be out there having sex with other people. But we went into this, and I know that this is how you are, and this is okay. So I allowed him to continue to be. And I said, well, I'm not going to be anymore, but you can continue, you know, so I had to respect that. So, all right, guys. So give me 1 second. I just gotta send something off real quick. So go ahead and share anything else that you want to say, if you want to respond to what her comment that she just wrote.
Yeah, I think in my experience with my ex, there was some poly shame coming in, which I definitely didn't want to deal with around the like, um, because for so long I had been receiving so much love and acceptance around my polyamory, to then in that conversation have that whole like 180 of like, oh, actually, I don't like that you're polyamorous, and it doesn't make sense to me. And like, how can how can we be together yet you still need to date other people? Like, there was like some of that energy coming in, and I was just like, oh, we don't need to continue. Like, that's what it
Mhm.
felt like for me.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I also just deeply, totally, deeply appreciate and respect when there you can work through things. And um I think also like my lack of relationship experience like makes me very quick to just end things.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's
yeah.
fine. That's fine. I'm 47 years old. I got like 20 years on you. Now, had this been 20 years ago, I would have been different, right? Because I
Yeah.
was quick to end things too. And so wisdom comes with age. And we start to respond differently. And this is why I love having you on here, because we're all learning from each other, right? And you know, so you're in a great place, and you're sharing your experiences from where you are right now. And that's beautiful.
Thank
That's
you.
beautiful. Because there's a lot of people who still aren't where you at, you
Yeah.
know, or who aren't where I'm at. And I'm not where plenty of people. I'm not where Kenya K is at. She's been in this way longer than me, you know, and so she might be my age or she might be older, I'm not sure, but she's definitely have way more experience in terms of in these open relationships. This is still fairly new, but not that new. But you know, yeah, but and the thing is, I've done a lot of work on myself. So I've realized, you know, I was very quick to end relationships too because of my resistance, my fears. You know, I've done work. I know that I've had a lot of abandonment issues, rejection issues. So I was like, I'm out before, you know. And I had a very avoidant personality, right? So I would avoid shit. I'm like, too much, I ain't dealing with this, I'm out. But I had to do that, my personal work, to get to this point where I could be like, okay, I'm staying in this. We're communicating, we're working through. My partner at the time, he also had done a lot of work. Both of us had lived in a Tantra commune together almost 2 years. So we did a lot of work. I think had we got together prior to that 2 years, I probably would have been jealous and he would have been like, fuck that shit. I just want to be with open people who ain't going through this. But you know what? Everything happens as it's supposed to happen. And everything is a learning experience. So I'm going to leave you with that. Thank you all for coming on and watching this live. Yes, please follow Manny at Black and Queer Divinity on Instagram. You can follow me at Prandhara Prem _Tantra and join my Sacred Sexual Coven. It is in the link on YouTube. And if you're not following me, go ahead and give me a thumbs up too if you like this. Give me that thumbs up and then go ahead and follow, hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you next week. We're going to be talking about womb health. All right, guys, have a great one. Closing out to Phil's music. Thank you, Phil. This lovely music. Close your eyes, feel this for a little bit. Enjoy.
Feel bliss, ecstasy.
I got more people coming on as we getting off. We're closing. Sorry. Catch the replay, folks. Get on the replay. Love you.
Dance with me.
Bye, everyone.